Rabbitohs Radio Podcast, the number one source for everything South Sydney Rabbitohs.
Welcome to another edition of Rabbitohs Radio. My name is Graham Travel. I'm joined by Les from the Big Les Rugby League podcast. What's doing, Les?
Yeah, good chaps. Bit of a quiet one for myself. Just doing a bit of work and then obviously coming back home doing a bit of editing before we jump on here. Obviously been a busy week for a South supporter. I'll tell you what, a lot has happened over the last 48 to 72 hours. And even just last week, obviously the result against the Storm. A lot on at the moment for us Bunnies fans. But look, hopefully we do get a big win in a big way here against the West Tigers. We've got a good team and some nice changes going into this week.
Yeah, it has been a big week there. Look, shout out to Latrell. We're thinking of you, mate. The NRL and the Rabbitohs and Latrell will sort that out. I think there's been enough said on social media from people having their two bob worth. We'll leave it at that here, just to say we're behind you, Latrell. We always will be, buddy. Yeah, mate, there's a bit going on. I just want to give a shout out to Josh Kemp and the crew at the Borough, the greatest supporter group in Australia, mate. They just do not miss games. They go all around the world to watch this great team of ours. And they've got an event this week down at the Beer Shed, which is at Lamia. It's on Holly Lee Road. If you want to jump in there at 5 o'clock, they've got a little pre-game entertainment on there. They're going to have Pat Richards and a few people. There might be a little Q&A going on. And it looks like a pretty good beer down there, mate. So 5 p.m. It's only a 5-minute walk up to Campbelltown Sports Stadium. So nice little double header there. Go and have a couple of beers and then go over and watch the mighty Rabbitohs and the Tigers. The other supporter group's going to be there too. They're called the Ambush, the West Tigers supporters group.
Yeah, perfect, mate. You sold me at beers. I'll be down there.
Yeah, so if you're going to that game, it's worth going out a little bit earlier, popping over and checking that all out, and you'll be able to meet all the legends down there from the Borough, Mickey Tasker and Joshy Kemp and the crew, mate. Yeah, well, teams have dropped, bud, and looks like they've made a couple of changes that we've been talking about on the podcast for a couple of weeks there. Cam Murray back to his preferred position in the middle where he's a bit more effective with that quick play the ball, and he can work his backside off there right in the middle of the field, and they push Tallis Duncan back to on the right edge back row and Keaon over to the left. So I don't mind the look of that back row, mate.
Yeah, look, I'm liking the changes, obviously, this week, as we said before at the start. I think that Cam Murray to the middle is a great move. I think they've just really lacked his leg speed. You've seen a lot of other teams in the competition have that smaller middle there through the middle and just what it's done for their season. I mean, you look at a side that was playing without a halfback last week in the Sharks, and look what Cam McInnes did through the middle for them. You look at what Kurt Mann's been doing for the Bulldogs over the past few weeks, and all of those boys coming off the bench, the smaller guys with a bit of leg speed, quick play the balls, as you mentioned before. I think that it's a much needed change if we're to start playing some good football. I feel like we've been sort of waiting to play a bit of a faster game of footy too through the middle over the past few weeks, and we just haven't been able to because we've obviously had big Keaon there, who's a much more of a larger body, and what you get through Keaon, obviously with the tough carries and all of the work that he does through the middle, you just unfortunately don't get the leg speed that Cam Murray has, so I think it is the right move. Would I have kept Keaon in the middle? Yes, I probably would have moved him into the front row and moved one of these other big boys in Dave Mawali or Sean Kepi to the bench just to come off and give a bit of impact. But look, it wouldn't shock me if Hosty comes on and takes Keaon's spot and you see Keaon go into the middle anyway. I think that's what the rotation is sort of going to look like going into this one by kickoff if there isn't any changes. But yeah, all in all, I think that Cam Murray to the middle is a good move, and I think it is going to work very well against this Tigers pack as well.
Yeah, we're sort of starved of back rowers, aren't we, at the moment? I mean, shout out to you and Aiken. They're finally the worst kept secret in rugby league. I mean, we've known about it for 3 or 4 months here on Rabbitohs Radio Podcast, but they announced that one on Monday. He's going to bring a hard-working back rower, good foot speed. Every now and again, he'll punch out 45, 50 tackles, just like Cam Murray's done the last few weeks. So, look, we welcome back Jacob Host, the experience of Jacob Host. He jumps on the bench there because Michael Chee Kam, another bloody calf injury. Has anyone had more calf injuries in a season than this 2024 South Sydney Rabbitohs, Big Les?
I don't think so, mate. I think we've got a record or something. I'd like to get a little medal for that one, to be honest. But yeah, look, unfortunate to see Chee Kam copping out of the team list. But I think that after last week's game, it will be good for him to just sit back and recoup a little bit and sort of take a break, work on some stuff that he needs to work on with his defense. Obviously, at training, with what he can do at training, obviously, just coming back from that calf injury. But I'll tell you what, mate, between Cody Walker, Michael Chee Kam, and a bunch of other guys in this team that are getting calf injuries, as I said, mate, we deserve a medal for probably the most calf injuries in a season for a football side.
Well, I think there was 8 in December leading into Christmas. Like, that's just before Christmas, and that's not including what's happened during the season. I think the big fella, Shaq Mitchell, had a bit of time off of the calf injury as well. So, yeah, it's been absolutely ridiculous, to be honest, the amount of injuries that the boys have had. But, yeah, big Jacob Hose, big body, comes back, 110 games, a bit of experience there. Look, there's been a few questions on social media about Liam LeBlanc. Why didn't Liam LeBlanc come back? Liam LeBlanc's more of a middle. It's not really, you're not comparing apples with apples, you know what I mean? I don't think they wanted to load it up with 3 middles on the bench. At least you shorten the back row. That means Keaon and Tallis would have to play the full game. If one of those guys goes down, you end up in a bit of trouble, I think. So you can see what they've done there. And I can understand it. But again, I'd love to see Liam LeBlanc get as much game time as possible over the next couple of weeks before the season goes out. But anyway, that's the way it goes.
I think that they've done a very good job just balancing out this pack this week, moving Cam Murray back into the middle, then having Hosty on the bench for Keaon to be able to move into that middle role. And I think going up against this Tigers pack, you look at some of the forwards in this team, Clemmer, Stefano, Isaiah Papali'i, probably the only exception to the rule there through the middle, as in a more of a back rower who has a bit more leg speed, can get those quick play the balls for you. You look at the rest of the forward pack, Sione Finu, Fanua Pole, Alex Twall, big front rowers with a lot of power. But what we lack in that power in our side, I think we gained through obviously having guys like Tallis, Cam Murray with that foot speed that you were talking about before. And I think that we have a real opportunity to, if we start the game fast enough. And as I said, we've been sort of waiting to play that fast game of football. If we do start the game fast, I think we can sort of score a few points early and run this game away against the Tigers, to be honest. I really do think that we're a big chance here, and I think it's going to be a good momentum win going into the next few games, the later games of the season, just to finish the year on a bit of a positive note.
Yeah, of course. We look, guys like Jai Gray will look to get on the back of some of that go forward and play with some space out the back. Jai, unfortunately, had a bit of looks like a sternum injury or a rib injury in that last game, but he was training the other day. On Monday, they had a training session, so he was able to take his place there. Not a drama in the world. They haven't changed the back line at all. I mean, people are calling for changes left, right, and centre. I think they're trying to settle it down as much as they can. Tane and Richie Kenner in the centres. You got Jacob Gagai and Fletcher Myers, a bloke who's 2 games, 2 tries. So Fletcher Myers on a roll there. You might have seen the press conference he did the other day. Bit of revelation there. He's a beach sprinter too, mate. They've just flipped up a little social media thing. That's where that pace comes from, Big Les. So if you're wondering.
Yeah, I tell you what, mate, I'd love a few more beach sprinters in our side. I'll tell you that for free, especially in the back line. You've got Damien Cook, who's a Origin centre, playing there in the number 9, who's a bit of a beach sprinter. Then you got Big Fletcher Myers, who, by the way, a few podcasts, they've sort of started to give him some reps as well, comparing him to a bit of a Bostock type player as well. And you know what? He's had that sort of impact with a bit of speed, a lot of power, great in contact. He's been really good for the Bunnies. And look, they were even talking about on levels, and I want to get your thoughts on this as well. Wayne Bennett's the type of guy that just rewards you for a good preseason. Is Fletcher Myers potentially a chance of getting into this back line going into the 2025 season? I know we've got a ton of guys to come back, but is Fletcher Myers maybe, there's obviously Campbell Graham to come back, you got Alex Johnston to come back or 2 on the wing. As I said, plenty of guys to come back. Ty Munro, depending on how he comes back from this injury in the preseason that he has next year. Is he a chance of getting into the back line in 2025, Fletcher Myers?
Well, as the roster is, we've still got to fill it out. I think they're still got to fill it out with about 7 or 8 guys. I think there's only 22 guys signed from memory, maybe 23 now with Aitken. If you look at it as it is now, you're probably going to have a Fletcher Myers in the left wing now because Alex Johnson, he's not going to be ready for round one. Be very unlikely for him to be ready in round one. So he's a likely candidate to sit out on that left wing, or he's actually come through, played a lot of footy as a centre. So they put him as left centre and have Campbell Graham ease his way back in on the wing. The big fella, stretchy boy out there. He's played a bit of wing early in his career. He suits at tackle one. He loves to roll the sleeves up anyway. Look, they've got some options, but yeah, I'd give him a massive chance to be in our round one squad as is, unless they buy some sort of centre or strike outside back in the next 3 or 4 months, which is also on the cards from what I understand.
Well, I think a lot of people are still forgetting Isaiah Tass is coming back too, and he was unreal towards the back end of last year. Hasn't got too much footy this year, but he has been in some pretty decent form when he has been in the side. They've still got him to come back as well, so I think if we have a good injury run going into next year, I think we've got a surplus of guys that we just don't realise are actually sitting in the ranks that are actually quite good, going into next year in terms of our backline depth. I'm really looking forward to see what Wayne Bennett has in store, but I don't mind Fletcher Myers getting a spot next year. Obviously, you mentioned that Alex Johnson won't be ready going into next year. It is going to be interesting to see how this backline is shaped. And, Jai Gray as well, where does he fit into this side going into round one next year as well? Obviously, when the Troll comes back, it's going to be very interesting.
Does he fit into a 14 role there, or with a rookie hooker like Peter Mamazoulis, do you have a little bit of cover for him coming off the bench, like someone that can play a few different positions, like a Jamie Humphries, for example, can cover the halves. He can probably cover some outside back spots in a pinch and covers hooker as well. Yeah, look, there's a lot of question marks. I think in the off season, certainly we'll do a deep dive into all positions. Once we know this full squad and get our head around what's going to be happening there, we'll get ourselves down to some pre-season training. I'm sure it'll be a big crowd the first day Wayne Bennett walks in there in November 1. We'll make sure we get down there and have a look at that, and we'll get stuck right into this squad and how it's shaping up and where the depth is and where some of the weaknesses are in this squad for season 2025. I think there's going to be a lot of names penciled in over the next few months that might surprise you. They've been really tight-lipped with this. As I've said before, we will find out who the new signings are when Wayne wants us to, mate. Simple as that.
Yeah, totally. Look, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, obviously, when Wayne does walk into the door, but we've got to worry about the rest of 2024 first, and this game is going to be a key factor into how we finish the year and how, obviously, we, if we get this win, the momentum set for the rest of the year is going to be set as well. So I think we still would have gained a little bit of confidence after the Melbourne game. It's particularly with our second half. We won the second half. We played better in the second half. I think that boys are going to take a lot of confidence from that, and I'm definitely going to roll into this game a bit strong. And I'm looking forward to seeing how they go as well. Mawali, Kepi. It's definitely going to be a much easier battle through the middle than what we had against Melbourne. And as I said, I think we're going to be playing a lot of a faster game with Murray there in the 13, generating that ruck speed, quick play the balls, and then obviously getting to our edges quite quickly as well. Fletcher Sharp, Tane Milne doing their damage as well.
Well, their 2 tries they scored last time we played them up there at Gosford were off quick play the balls, playing down the middle of the field. Our markers were left still on the ground, and a guy like Cam Murray might be able to rectify that with Talon De Silva coming on with some fast feet, the craftiness of Apposite Coruscant coming out of dummy half. They're the sort of guys we're going to have to stop. These guys are very inexperienced out wide, but they've just got another 5 or 6 games under their belt since we played them, so they're going to be better again. Some of them guys that we've named in that last episode about the West Tigers side. But look, I'm really looking forward to seeing another week of Shaquai Mitchell, a bloke who's an extremely talented guy. He's got the softest hands in our squad in terms of forwards. He can jump in and play lock forward, not a drama. He's still got a bit of power about him. He's still got to get some fitness after coming back from a pretty tough calf injury. What are you expecting to see from Big Shaq this week?
Well, saw him on the bus the other day on the way to East Gardens. He's looking huge. Looking really, really good at the moment. Just a bit trim as well. It looks like he's trimmed down a little bit since coming back from that injury, but still a big boy. Obviously, obviously would have focused hard coming back from that injury over the past few weeks. But I was impressed with him against Melbourne, to be honest. Just the impact he had when he came on, played his role perfectly, and then when he needed to, the slick hands that he has, as you mentioned, came into play there, particularly for that try down the left-hand side as well. That he set up with the Tane Milne through the legs. But, I think that he just provides such class for a front rower as well, coming off the bench. And, obviously can fill in at lock, as you said, in the back row if you really need him to, in the front row. What he can do for your side if there's injury, he's a great guy to have. And I think that he's just going to get better as the weeks go on leading into the back end of the season. And honestly, I think that he'll be in that side 2025. He'll be that jersey number 17 again, because he is such a talented footballer with a lot of skill. I don't think we've really seen in the top grade at the moment, because in New South Wales Cup, he's had some beautiful performances. So just as I said, looking for him to get better every single week. He's looking very fit and ready to go at the moment. So I'm looking forward to see how he goes.
Yep, and it's a triple header out there at Campbelltown Sports Stadium. You got the Jersey flag on, New South Wales Cup, and then it's straight into first grade. So and it's not only that. There's a bit of data out there saying it's the first time we've ever played West Tigers at that ground. So it's the first contest ever between these two sides. I think we played Western Suburbs there last in 1999 and had some footage of Jimmy Smith from SEN Radio, a former guest on the Rabbitohs radio. I think the owner there and proprietor of Garlo's Pies, Sean Garlick, in the dummy half position. So that's how long it's been since we've played there at Campbelltown Sports Stadium in an actual regular season game.
Yeah, wow, incredible. Like, you wouldn't think it'd be that long ago, like, especially with the games, how many games there have been there over the past few years against other teams. It's just insane how we haven't had a game there. But yeah, as I said, it's going to be interesting to see how this one goes. If we start fast, we'll go well. But yeah, like, you can't really take the biases in the stadium bias or the home ground advantage into this one, because we haven't played there in years. So look, it is really going to be interesting to see how he go. I can't wait for this one. It is going to be a cracker. I think it really is going to be a good game.
Well, the last one had plenty of points in it. I don't think it's going to be anything different, Les. I think both teams should score at least 20 points, regardless of what happens there. Hopefully we score more points than they do and come out on top. I see us maybe come out with a pretty similar result from last game, maybe 34 points to 24 or something like that, and come out on top. Might have too much points from with the likes of Cody Walker and Joy Gray out the back, and the fast feeder Cam Murray down the middle of the field. And again, it's going to be great to see Tallis Duncan play his third game in the back row, and hopefully he gets the full 80 minutes out yet again.
Yeah, totally. I can't wait to see how he's used. And as I said, I wouldn't shock me in the slightest if he gets a little bit of a run there through the middle of the park, Keaon. I think that he will end up in the middle at some stage in the game. Cam Murray might shift out to an edge depending on what they need. Yeah, look, it is going to be interesting to see how this forward rotation works. But yeah, super keen. My guess is that Hosty will come on in the back row. Keaon goes into the middle. I don't actually know if he'll play 80 minutes. I think he'll play around 60, 65. And obviously he'll get a rest when Shaq Mitchell or Tom Burgess come on through the middle there. But I think that's sort of the plan. He'll get a little bit of a run through the middle and then come off after being on the edge. I think that's sort of where you see Keaon. I think he's too valuable to leave off the middle for the whole game. And I think he's also too valuable, especially going into the last few weeks of the competition, to play for the full 80, to be honest, as well.
Yeah, we don't want to kill him. Going into the off season, it's going to be a big off season for a lot of these players. They're going to have a good rest because it's a totally different ball game when Wayne comes in. You got to impress the big fella Wayne, and you want to be getting yourself in nice and good shape before November 1 rolls around. Anything else on this one, mate?
Look, I just wanted to quickly say, I'm not sure if they're related. Is Leonard Skelton related to Gerald Skelton from the Dogs? Are they brothers?
I don't think.
Don't
think
so?
No.
Anyway, I just thought Leonard Skelton.
Didn't it?
Yeah, I just saw that. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, Gerald Skelton just signed with the Tigers, literally just before we started recording this podcast, which is an interesting one. I thought they were brothers, so I thought it was going to tie in well there, but obviously not. Just saw the Skeleton name there and thought I'd bring it up. I think that's a good signing for them too. He's been great for the Dogs. But yeah, look, I've lost my point now since they're not related.
No, well, he's been dropped anyway, Lenny Skelton. Last week he got through a bit of work there, Lenny Skelton, 160 odd metres on the ground, so he rolled the sleeves up. And this week we're playing Western Suburbs, and it's almost a battle of the wooden spoon. They're the only team below us at the moment. We're second last on the table in New South Wales Cup, coming off a loss over in New Zealand there, and we're going to welcome back a really big inmate, a bloke who hasn't played a game since round 6. He played 19 minutes against Cronulla Sharks in round 6. Tai Mun, Tai Munro, the excitement machine there. And he has worked his backside off to get back to where he is. They pretty much ruled him out for the season at one stage there, but he kept pestering the medical staff there and the coaching staff to get back and play some footy. And it'd be great to see him play a few games over the next few weeks and maybe knock on the door for first grade at the back end of the year, the last couple of games.
Yeah, look, I'm excited to see him back. I'm definitely going to be keeping a close eye on the result of this one. He, as you said, has worked so hard to get back for the Rabbitohs. I don't think he'll be playing first grade to end the year. I just wouldn't really risk it with all the injuries that we've had. You'd hate to have a few going into the off season as well. But yeah, look, I mean, I'm excited to see how he finishes the year, and I'm looking forward to seeing him have a huge preseason right in front of Wayne's eyes, and hopefully catches some attention and earns himself a spot on that right wing going into round 1 next year.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if he's on a minutes count there, whether they're going to put him straight out there for 80, or is just going to maybe a 40 or 50 minutes and then get him off. Maybe they bring Lenny Skelton into the 17 and he comes in and replaces him for the last 30 or 40 minutes just to get the cobwebs out and get some timing back in his defence and do a couple of hit-ups without getting hurt. It might be the way to go. But Brandon Mansfield-Webster, he comes back into the side. He's a bit of a unit there. We've spoken about him before. He's been out a few weeks. He's sort of on trial for next year. They're probably looking at bringing him back, I'd say. And it was a nice moment there for the Hawkins brothers playing there. It's the first time they've ever played in the same team together. They played over there in Auckland last week in the halves. And I can't remember the last halves pairing. The South Sydney Rabbitohs in a senior grade, mate. It's been a long, long time.
Yeah, 100%. Look, it's going to be a good game to watch these two go at it. Obviously, they're in the halves together. It's beautiful to see. Obviously, Brent's worked hard to get where he is, and Dean's just come back from that injury as well. We thought that he was going to potentially come into the 17 for us for first grade too, but obviously, it's good that we're keeping this Cody and White in combination going into the back end of the season. But Dean's obviously the captain as well. So it is going to be nice to watch him captain the side, obviously, with his brother there in the number 6 and see how they go together. It's going to be a good little contest.
Yeah, and they're only just coming back from injury, the both of them. Doing only last week, so they'll be better for the run, both of them. Look, a shout out to Isaac Tuitupu Thompson. I don't think he's going to be with us next year, but he banged out 195 metres from 17 odd carries. He had a great day out. And Liam LeBlanc, I think it was 62 minutes, he had 154 run metres, 29 tackles and 0 errors. So you can't do much more than that, Liam. Just keep banging on the door and hopefully he gets the nod over the next few weeks.
Yep, totally. I think that as well with a bit of a smaller pack, which we sort of are starting to see being more common in the competition as well. He might get a crack towards the back end of the year, depending on if we get any more injuries. Knock on wood, we don't. But also, if there's just an opportunity waiting for him to come into the side, wouldn't shock me if he does come in for the last few games of the season.
At the old school, all 3 grades. So 5:15, you can watch our cup side, coached by Joey O'Callaghan. And Jersey Flag, they're on at 3:30 at the same stadium there. They made a couple of changes there, brought Daniel Wright back in, and a few other heads. I think Louis Grosmere drops back from reserve grade back into that side, and they brought in a couple of bench forwards there. But Tippy, poor old Tippy O'Connell, your old school teacher, I think he got sick the other day. He got a bit of COVID. He couldn't go over New Zealand, so it was Kel O'Brien on debut. He had his first game at coach. I think they only beat 20 points to 10, so wasn't a lot in it. Completion rates for both sides were fairly down in the 60s, so might have been a tough day out for he might have pulled his hair out there over there, Kel. But well done, Kel. I think he's going to be there and about still in the Pathways coaching system next year, and to you, Tippy O'Connor. Hopefully you can get well soon, bud, and get back on your feet.
Yeah, 100%. Tippy, wish you all the best, mate. If you are unwell, hopefully you do get back as soon as you can. Looking forward to this contest. Obviously, it's going to be a real fun one to watch. A lot of my mates in there as well. Louis Grozamy obviously comes back from Cup as well, which will be interesting to see how he goes. Yeah, really, really nice triple header there for your Saturday.
Yep, and the girls, the Harvey Norman women's, are coming off a 20 points 4 loss to Manly. They're coming up against the table-topping Wentworthville Magpies. They've got a tough day up, but it's going to be there at Redfern. I think it's 12:30 midday on Saturday. And we've had a couple little changes there. Brought a few new girls in that I haven't seen the name of there. So they're looking to change things up. No Michaela Langer again. I'm not sure what's happened there. She had a good game a couple of weeks ago. Has been left out of the squad, so hopefully she comes in the calculations over the next few weeks. But look, plenty of footy coming up. You South fans, got to get behind our team. Hasn't been a great year. Doesn't look like anyone's going to make the semi-finals, but this is where you got to stick fat with your club.
Yep, totally. Brighter times coming soon. Obviously, Wayne walking in the door. We are going to have some bright times soon, and especially all of these guys coming back from injury. We have a good injury run going into next year. We will be competing for a top 8 spot again. I tell you that for free. It'll be almost guaranteed.
Yeah, and a shout out to our good mate Darren Brown. Him and his family are over there in Bali for his daughter's 18th birthday. So hope you guys are having a good time. Sent me a few photos there around the pool. He's doing it real tough, Big Les.
Yeah, look, I'll tell you what, Brownie, don't come back with too much of a tan, mate. I might get a bit jealous. But yeah, look, hopefully you enjoy your time over there, mate. Obviously a nice little occasion with your daughter turning 18. It's definitely going to be a bit of a loose one over there. I'll tell you what, obviously I know last time I went to Bali, we got up to a bit of trouble there as well. So, don't get too loose and don't get too much of a tan, mate.
Mate, I had a Bucks party over there, mate. I somehow ended up in a ring fighting 2 midgets, and then I woke up with a tattoo. So it was a pretty wild night. Yeah, like what happens in Bali can stay in Bali as well. It's a bit like Vegas, Bali. So go easy over there, Brownie. Come back in one piece, mate.
100%, 100%. Good luck to you, Brownie.
Yeah, good luck to you, Brownie. That might be it for another edition of Rabbitohs Brownie podcast. Up the mighty Rabbitohs.